Hello there! Today we're gonna do a patch from scratch using Coral as the main and only voice. Even though it's really convenient using it via MIDI, because with one cable you can control all of its parameters, you need to remember that Coral performs really well in a Eurorack environment. So today I'm gonna show you how to make a patch more expressive using CV modulation. Alright, let's start. The only things I have connected right now is the IntelliJ C-Leg to the output module. So let's do this. I want to have the OXI Coral into the OXI META, and then the META is going to go into the C-Leg. There's never enough effects, right? So now I'm going to use the Metropolis as a sequencer. I think I have something already going on. So the pitch goes into the volt per octave, and then the gate go into the trig. And now we should be able to hear something. Usually when I start a patch, I hold down the encoder for 5 seconds and I reset the Coral engine. I always like to start from scratch. Here it is. So now I can create any sequence that I like. And then move through the different engine and find the one that I like more. I like this one. So I like to set up something that I like already and then modulate all the parameters. So let's start clocking the system. The clock out of Metropolis goes into the mult. One mult goes into the C-Leg clock. Another one goes into the META clock. Then I like to clock also the Wagglebug, which is a sample and hold generator. I like to clock also JustFriend, that create envelopes. For this one, I will use a division of the Metropolis. Use a shorter cable. Okay, now let's set up a delay that we like. Something like that. I can start add some space from META. So I like to go into the ballpark of the patch. Usually I introduce effects right away because my music is heavily reliant on delay and reverb, and I love that. So in this case I go first in the reverb but then in the delay. Usually you do the opposite, but it's always interesting to experiment. And we are using the Coral as a monosynth right now. So let's make the Coral sound a little more interesting. Let's modulate the filter. There's many ways you can do that. Sometimes I like to do just with my hand, but today we use modulation. So I can use JustFriend. JustFriend create envelopes and they are clocked. So it creates 6 linked envelopes, and through the use of this knob I can decide how this envelope work. If they are slower attack, faster attack, long, short. So I can directly take one and go into the filter. Now, one good thing that you can do here is attenuate this signal, so it's a little more controllable. So what we do? We take the signal out, we go into the quadrat, that is an attenuator here, attenuverter actually. And then from that, we go back into the filter. Now you don't see it because my face is behind it, but I have a knob like this. And now I can just decide how strong the signal would be. That's the first step. Now I can decide to use a different division to make it more interesting. So I took another division and I make this a little slower. Now this is obviously work well, but we can also listen how it will work with a random CV. So instead of using this, we can use the stepped output of the waggle bug. The waggle bug is clocked too, so it creates random sampling, random CV, but it's clocked, so it will change with the gate. You have it stepped, but you can also use the waggle. Which is more of a random but soft curve, smooth. I like stepped. Okay. Now we can also work on the velocity of the track. So even in this case, I generally like to use a just friend envelope. So I go into the amp, and here I will set a faster gate, and now I have something more interesting. I can use actually a slower. Nice. Now, let's use the smooth to change some other parameter. Let's use an attenuation. Let's use the arm. So now this sample hold is changing the arm, and it's a little attenuate. Okay, let's now make some variation in the effects, because you can modulate effects too, and to me it's a very, very fun way to add expressiveness to a patch. So I will use planar. Planar record my movements, and I can loop them, so it's pretty interesting. Let's use it to bring in the reverb from META. So I can use it in the effects. Let's listen. I can use it actually bipolar, so basically I will move this knob in both directions. Even in this case, it could be interesting to attenuate, but I want to do straight. So I will press record. And then I will press play. Now, as you can see, there's a signal that modulates the META. We can use the This is the x-axis. We can use the y-axis to maybe change something else. Maybe we can change the control. Nice. So now we are at the point that we can actually perform our patch. And this is something that I really like to do. Have just one voice and then try to exhaust all the possibility and record samples and maybe later on use it for your production. So how we're gonna interact with it? The planner will move our meta parameters and is gonna add space to the patch. Wogglebug will move the filter and the harm settings. Then we have Just Friend that will modulate the amp. Then I can also change the notes on the Metropolix on the fly. And of course, change the parameters on the Coral itself. So let's just have a little jam. This is an approach that I really enjoy, making everything possible with just one voice and then perform it and have just fun with it. I hope this was interesting and I'll see you next week.